Welcome to Between the Gutters, where we talk about the stories within the panels. I'm your co-host, and with us is our other co-host.
This is Drew. What's up, everybody?
Yo, 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 to all the lovely people out there listening to the podcast. Today, we're dropping in a special in many ways, really, but it's a special bonus podcast episode because this is coming out dropping it before the release of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And another way that it's special is that we get to spend more time with you lovely people. And on top of that, this is a meta episode because we actually recorded the bulk of it last week, listening to us from two different points in time. So don't tell me that my children are going to grow up to be the ones to bring the end of the world. I don't know how time travel works.
Yeah, that's pretty much the background behind this episode, is because when we were recording our WandaVision autopsy, our Wand-topsy, we kind of got carried away and started talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and ended up just going on way too long. So we had a bunch of leftover material and, you know, us being the comic book geniuses that we are, we can't let our valuable input and voices go unheard. So we had to find a way to take all of the stuff that we had left over on the cutting room floor and bring it to you, the people. Am I putting too much value on our own abilities, Albert?
No, I think not, because quite frankly, if we don't value it, no one will.
That is true, man. That is.
So I'm going to tell all of you listeners, all you beautiful listeners out there who listen to us and spend time with us, this is the most valuable thing that you can get from us.
Yeah.
This is our, but better
Because
yet,
if you don't
love us.
If you don't love yourself, who will?
More importantly, love us.
Yes.
I don't care if you love yourself.
That's the real takeaway.
I don't care if you love yourself. That's what you do on your own time.
I don't care if you love your kids either. But you got one thing you can ever learn in life. Love us. Lately, Marvel's put out a bunch of clips, trailers, and things like that. So, you have any thoughts on what we've seen so far?
I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is more their straight. I will make an addendum, which is recent trailers have tried to portray it with an additional angle, which is it's not just this straight action slash thriller slash political intrigue show. But it's also a buddy show. Buddy
action comedy.
Yeah. Buddy action comedy. I was gonna say buddy cop, but
buddy action comedy.
Yeah. Buddy action comedy. I was gonna say buddy cop, but they're not cops. So I do feel like it's covering all those bases, and so what we've seen from the trailer is we've seen Baron Helmut Zemo. I don't even know if his name is Helmut Zemo in the MCU, but he was in the Captain America Civil War movie. So his return, which is kind of a cool thing to do to boost the stakes for their show, by bringing back the villain, like a pretty, I don't know, I'd say a pretty underrated villain overall for the MCU.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Baron Zemo was, I feel like people were pretty blown away by him, but he's been kind of lost in the shuffle ever since Thanos and well, just ever since Thanos came out, I guess, you know.
Yeah,
Oh,
but if you
he's
think
been,
about it,
yeah, yeah, right. And he didn't need a gauntlet to do it.
mhm,
Yeah, he broke them without, you know, that much power. He used his mind. So
exactly.
to see him again, and on top of that, they did a scene where you see the purple face mask that's
Yeah,
he's known for, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Like, I want to see him as the Zemo that we know, you know, in
totally,
him as the Zemo that we know, you know,
totally.
in the comics, because that I always thought that face mask was cool, man. I thought his design was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's he's definitely one of my top 10 Marvel villains,
Mhm.
especially based on the comics. But I villains,
Mhm.
especially based on the comics. But I really like his film version also. But in the comics, Zemo is one of my favorite supervillains. Like
Yeah.
there's just been a lot of great stories featuring him.
Yeah.
Whether it's his vendetta against Captain America,
Yeah.
whether it's his vendetta against Captain America, or even his what do you call it? Like the his more ambitious goals when he tries to.
World domination.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's like everything from
He
leading
can be
mass
petty,
and just do some spiteful stuff to hurt Captain America, or
or
he
he
can
can
be
think really
ambitious.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and try
ambitious,
to
exactly.
actually destroy, or not destroy, but uh
Conquer.
conquer the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's he's got range, man.
Yeah, yeah, he works in
Yeah.
so many to what they decide to do with him in the MCU,
Yeah.
especially now that
And
he's got the mask.
yeah. Um I guess if we're gonna discuss predictions, one of the things that are signature to Baron Zemo though is underneath the mask in the
Yeah, he looks like Spawn.
I was gonna say he looks like a wet turd,
He
but
looks like if Spawn and a wet turd had a baby.
spawn turd.
Yeah.
But so in this series, yeah, if I had to guess, at some point what we're gonna see happen is his face is gonna be melted, and he is gonna be just this disfigured dude with the mask. So
Hmm.
that's a possibility. They also showed
Hmm.
though that's a possibility. They also showed another villain who's gonna be, I guess she's like the muscle, but it's Flag Smasher. We were talking about her earlier today, and I thought she was Echo, but you clarified that she's actually Flag Smasher, which
Yeah.
is you clarified that she's actually Flag Smasher, which
Yeah.
is
And the only
he's
reason
a
that I knew that was because I checked and I learned that Echo is gonna show up in Hawkeye, and that's a different actress.
okay, yeah, and Flag Smasher is just kind of this is let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. This is probably a case where the MCU version is probably going to be better than the comic version of that character,
Yeah.
because that character is just a straight jobber. You know, I feel like the only stories I ever read with him set up set off a series of bombs. Like, he's just a
Yeah.
terrorist.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. So
Yeah. Anytime they need a story where Captain America beats up a generic terrorist, he usually beats up Flag Smasher.
yeah, maybe, but I have more love for Hate Monger than Flag Smasher for sure.
Do you think there's any chance down the line that we could see the Thunderbolts, Baron Zemo leading the Thunderbolts?
I do. Like, I'm gonna use the same answer that I used for Agents of. More likely that we're gonna see Thunderbolts than Agents of Atlas. Like,
Hmm.
if anything, I'd say Thunderbolts is probably in the same range, if not more likely than Young Avengers to be made. So yeah, I'm pretty be made. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that it's just a matter of time.
Do you think that if they made a cinematic adaptation of the Thunderbolts, that they would kind of do the same thing they did with the original? They would kind of do the same thing they did with the original comics, where it was a group of it was a group of villains masquerading as heroes. Like, do you think they would just cherry pick some of the smaller villains from the different movies that they've done over the years and have them become the Thunderbolts from the different movies that they've done over the years and have them become the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, see, so that's the thing that's tough about this question, because there's been several iterations of the Thunderbolts, and I think my favorite iteration is probably the Warren Ellis. It's also fair to say that that version of the Thunderbolts wasn't the like original core concept of what the Thunderbolts was. So, you know, if they did the Busiek Thunderbolts, Busiek slash Nicieza, I'd want to see that too. The idea of villains disguised as heroes in order to take over the world. I'm sure they might alter that motivation a little bit just for the movies, but
yeah,
you know, that's something that could work.
The things from the comics, I don't think that would work in a film, just because of the way that the media is today, and there are no secrets in casting and whatnot. But in the comics, the very first issue, you're just introduced to this team of brand new superheroes that went over the city, and on the very last, you learn that these heroes are actually old villains, and their leader is Baron Zemo. But if they tried, and that works in the comic, like when that happened, that was a total surprise. Like, it's still probably one of the biggest surprises in superhero comic book history.
Yeah.
But in a movie, it feels like that could never work because you would know who.
Yeah.
But in a movie, it feels like that could never work because you would know who the actors are ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, like, you would know that this guy played that bad guy in this movie. So if he's in this other Marvel movie and playing that character, then, you know,
it's safe to say
you couldn't really do then, you know,
it's safe to say
you couldn't really do the surprise. But
yeah,
I wish there was some way to do that, man, because that would be the kind of movie, the kind of superhero movie that I think would get a whole lot of people talking, where it's like you walk into the movie expecting it to be about all these heroes, and walk into the movie expecting it to be about all these heroes, and like at some point you just realize that all the commercials and stuff tricked you, and it's really about a team of villains.
Yeah.
Like, if they could somehow pull that off, I think that would be pretty successful.
Yeah. That when you think about movies and like the few times in cinematic history where they pull off like shocking endings with that much effect, well, I mean, I don't know if it'd be on that level, but just if they're even able to capture like a fraction of that, that'd be a pretty amazing.
That would never happen in today's world because everybody's always reading social media and trade magazines and or websites where you know who's playing who, and like all these things are basically spoiled for you. All the casting stuff is spoiled for you before the movie even comes out.
Yeah.
So it would just be impossible to be surprised. I'm not clever enough to think
it'd be hard.
Yeah. Like,
but I was like,
require a ton of secrecy.
Yeah, but I was thinking, I was like, I don't even know what villains they could. The only villain that I could think of was Batroc. You know? Who else? Like, I feel like they've killed everybody. Else. All the other villains died, except for Zemo and Batroc.
Well, they could go into the other franchises also.
Well, you were saying that they were gonna take villains from the other franchises that survived, right? Or who else survived?
Like, what if they got the Ghost from Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
That's the guy
okay.
Ghost.
That's
There's
true.
also like Michael Keaton.
That's
There's
true.
also like Michael Keaton, the Vulture.
Yeah, that's true.
Those
He's
other guys
he's
in
around.
jail. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to think about it, but I'm sure there are some guys that didn't die. We
Yeah.
could get Baron Mordo. Mordo.
Hard to imagine him having the same concerns as Baron Zemo and his people.
Hey, they're both Barons, man. So
Yeah, they
they
could
got
be
a lot
part
in
of
common.
the same Baron club.
Yeah, we can get Baron Davis.
Oh. Now I just want to see a movie where it's a team of the three of them, where it's like, I'm Baron Zemo, I'm Baron Mordo, and I'm Baron Davis. Oh man. Uh,
U.S. agent is gonna be in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Wyatt Russell.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about him, but
Yeah.
he's another character that has ties to a different era of Thunderbolts.
Yeah. And well, it'll be interesting to see because when John Walker was shown or he was basically just a Captain America ripoff. So
Yeah, that was his
it'll
whole point.
yeah. I'm curious to see what he looks like or who if they found a way to design him so that if they found a way to design him so that he works so that he I don't know, he's just a guy I feel like who's a character that I think we talked about this in another podcast, but where we constantly see him and we're constant. Well, I don't know if you're hoping that he, ever makes it big or whatever, but um, yeah, I think there's a part of me that roots for the day where he can be as big as Miles Morales Spider-Man or something like that. But that's definitely wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's pretty wishful thinking.
Yeah.
He's using that they use whenever they want to show the dark side of patriotism
Cap.
or something.
Yeah.
It's like imagine if Captain America were just some jingoistic jerk. He'd
Yeah.
be U.S. agent.
Yeah. Basically, their existence was just for people to show, to use you for stories where you're just a jerk.
Yeah. I think that's why.
Like,
No,
what
go
are you gonna
ahead.
say? No, go ahead.
I think that's why it's interesting to see U.S. Agent as that run of Thunderbolts that Jeff Parker did, because in that story, Parker did give him depth. He wasn't just this this rah military version of Captain America who was just a total tool. He actually had a sense of depth to him. Like well, I guess it's not even that recent, but I remember right around Time Runs Out, when Time Runs Out was happening, Hickman didn't write the issues, but there was an Avengers World comic that was kind of running concurrently, and I think it was either I want to say either Nick Spencer or Frank J. Barbiere who was writing some of the issues, and some of those stories had U.S. Agent just as a normal hero, and that was kind of refreshing to see that he wasn't just some jerk.
Yeah.
And that was kind of refreshing to see that he wasn't just some jerk.
Yeah.
The other character I'm looking forward to seeing return is Agent 13, Sharon Carter. She is going to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. She is going to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. We haven't seen her in a long time.
Yeah. What's the last movie that she was in? Was it Civil War?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's a character that has a pretty big role in the Captain. There's a part of me that was like expecting to see more of her, but she just never did.
Yeah, because
You
in the
know?
comics, she's Captain America's love interest, not Peggy
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah. Huh. So, um, it'll be yeah.
It.
Um,
I did see one of the clips they put out where I guess it looks like she's been kind of doing her own investigation or something,
uh
and she runs into Falcon and Bucky,
yeah.
and they're in the shadows. So when she comes out, she's pointing a gun at them, and they look at her, and Bucky's like,
Is gonna play out. It's again, it's a lot. It feels like it's probably gonna be something that's more straightforward, but I'm down for an action buddy political thriller, espionage thriller type of, you know?
"Yeah,
I got
totally,
I got
man.
no issues with that.
Yeah, same here. It'll be fun, man, just to see those
Yeah.
characters together. Kind of reminds me of the Brubaker run after Captain America died. The
Yeah.
book became a story about the Falcon. Book became a story about the Falcon and Bucky and Sharon Carter and Black Widow. Like it just became this ensemble book featuring a cast of characters that were Captain America's friends,
Yeah.
and it kind of feels like that's what this show is gonna be like.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like that's what this show is gonna be like.
Yeah. Like, so since you've touched on it, like, do you feel what influences do you feel will be taking will there be on this show in terms of comics that they're going to lift influence from?
I mean, the first thing I would guess would be the Brubaker stuff, even though
Yeah.
Brubaker, when he did the story of Captain America's death, Bucky was the one who went.
Yeah.
And in this one, I mean, Captain America gave his shield to Sam, so
Yeah.
I think it'd be disrespectful if Sam decided to give the shield to Bucky.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, he's like the first.
Yeah. But in terms of influences, there are quite a few comics where Sam Wilson Falcon is actually Captain America, so there's a
Yeah.
potential that they can take elements from those stories.
Did that story. I think it was because Captain America got too old or something because of, some cosmic comic book shenanigans. And then Nick Spencer had a run with Sam Wilson
Yeah.
as Captain America.
I'm pretty sure what happened was it was in Rick Remender's Captain America run, and what happened it was in Rick Remender's Captain America run, and what happened was Captain America fought an Oriental, and the Oriental found a way to use his ancient Asian mysticism to age him to the point where he could no longer be Captain America. To the point where he could no longer be Captain America. He used his ancient Chinese secret. Ancient Chinese secret.
Man, somebody's gonna listen to you talking about. Man, somebody's gonna listen to you talking about that, and they're gonna completely buy into that idea.
I mean, I might have been tongue in cheek about it, but that is basically what happened in the comic. They did it in a much more serious way, but yeah.
I did like his look in the comic, to be honest, man. Like
He had a cool look.
combination of his of the Captain America suit combined with his wings and the goggles.
All of the best elements of both their costumes lifted and combined. So yeah, I'm about that.
Do you think that the show will start with Captain America's funeral?
I don't think so, cause winning this news, but I'm pretty sure I heard that Chris Evans is. There's a high likelihood that he's going to continue to reprise his role.
Just as an old man?
They didn't say. So from the sounds of it, they just said that he's still with Disney, where he's going to come back. They didn't say, specifically whether he's going to come back as Captain America, but he's. It sounds like he's going to continue to show up in the Marvel universe.
Oh,
again,
I did not know that.
I feel like universe.
Oh,
again,
I did not know that.
I feel like I need to double check this. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I feel like this was something that they said.
What if who he's actually gonna play is he's gonna come back as the Human Torch because of the multiverse? Huh? Verse. Huh?
What if he comes back as his own son?
No, see, what if they do a multiverse story? Because you know how that they're what if they do a multiverse story? Because you know how that they're talking about how that Spider-Man movie has all these different Spider-Man actors and stuff.
Yeah.
So if they crack into the multiverse with, the Spider-Man 2 Doctor Octopus and the Amazing Spider-Man Electro, what if they in the Michael B. Jordan Human Torch?
That would be something. Yeah. I'd have to see it before I can make any sort of a determination, because those Fantastic Four movies were not good. But if this is from any reputable source, but there are quite a few pages that were talking about this Chris Evans returning. I'd have to really do some research, but it looks like he made some sort of deal with Disney to come back.
Stuff up.
There's a chance of that too.
Okay.
No, but I do remember hearing this. I just didn't remember what the details were. Oh wait. Okay, this January 14th, 2021 article says it's news to him, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just got swept up in it.
It was probably some clickbait thing that some dude made up, and then Chris Evans saw it on Twitter, and he's like, "What are you talking about?
What the heck is this?"
Yeah. Evans saw it on Twitter, and he's like, "What are you talking about?
What the heck is this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you think that he's so into secrecy that he's just pretending?
No, Chris Evans seems like a decent dude, so. Well, I don't know, man. So. Well, I don't know, man. I forgot what I was listening to. But anyways, I guess if it's clickbaity news, then nothing I know is I feel like my truth and my world are shattered a little bit. So, yeah. Yeah. What was your question?
No, that was my question.
Okay. So he's gonna show up as a corpse in that first scene. So,
you think he'll show up as an old man at any point in the series?
Huh.
Or maybe even like a phone call or something. We'll hear his voice.
I was gonna say we might, he'll call him Cap or Steve or something like that. And there's a chance that might be all you get.
Yeah.
I mean, would you really want to see Captain America in this?
Not really.
It's their chance to take up the reins, right, of that story. So,
Like if they actually did start the story with the funeral, with
Yeah.
Captain America's funeral, I think I'd be pretty okay with that.
Hmm.
Because it kind of feels pretty okay with that.
Hmm.
Because it kind of feels like if they just let him live out his golden years somewhere where he doesn't bother anyone and nobody bothers him, but he's still alive. It's just such a weird, nebulous thing to do with the character that feels. It's just such a weird, nebulous thing to do with the character that feels like they're kind of hedging their bets. Like it'd be a really crass commercial thing to do because then they could come up with something where they just continue to have him make cameos or
Yeah.
even who knows, man, maybe they'll do something where they restore his who knows, man, maybe they'll do something where they restore his youth and
Yeah.
he'll be back in his prime one day.
And he'll be
It,
Cap again.
yeah, it feels like that would just be kind of regressive to all the things
Yeah.
that they've been doing. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of skeptical that they would go that direction. I
Yeah.
mean, no, anything is possible. There's if they did decide to bring him back as Captain America one day, I'm sure that movie would make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So you always have to allow for that possibility.
Yeah. I was gonna say, um, now that they revealed that, Cap went off to live his life with Peggy Carter in the
Mhm.
past, right?
Mhm.
Um, do you think they'll ever introduce Ultimate Red Skull?
That's a
Think about that.
hilarious question.
Think
That's a
about that.
hilarious question. I feel like
Uh,
now we have to explain the joke.
yeah. So, okay, my of this is a bit spotty because it's been a while since I read it, but essentially in the Ultimate Universe, what ends up happening is Captain America ends up fathering a child that he wasn't. I forgot if he was aware of it or what. Wasn't. I forgot if he was aware of it or what. I want to say that. Do you remember the exact circumstances behind that?
I can't remember exactly how either. All I
Yeah,
remember is that the
he
ultimate
did.
Red Skull, the ultimate Red Skull was his son.
His
The
he
ultimate
did.
Red Skull, the ultimate Red Skull was his son,
His yeah.
and the dude was just this sick, twisted
He
psychopath,
was a sociopath.
sociopath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
so so for whatever reason, not whatever reason, I mean Captain America wanted to get his whatever reason, not whatever reason, I mean Captain America wanted to get his rocks off. Okay. Uh but Captain America ends up having a child, and because his body has the super soldier serum, his child ends up being this kid ends up looking, growing up, and he looks just like dad, just good looking all American boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. But one day the dude just goes nuts, and he murders a bunch of people. He just goes on a kind of neo-Nazi fascist,
Yeah.
and to the point where like he's just so unstable that he cuts the skin off his own face just because.
Yeah.
So at the end of Endgame, and live his life with Peggy Carter, and there's a likelihood and possibility that the two of them have this child, are going to have some sort of children together. So the joke is, well, if they all aged, if this happened in the past, and everyone ages like normal, then wouldn't there be a do you think there's a chance that we're going to see the sociopath version of Captain America's son in these movies?
Man, that'd be pretty sad that the child of two heroes. Man, that'd be pretty sad that the child of two heroes like that would end up becoming this horrible neo-Nazi. Like in
I
the
don't think
comic book, one of the things that I'll always remember is this picture of the Red Skull holding a gun to a baby's head. Red Skull holding a gun to a baby's head.
I remember that now that you mention it.
And I'm pretty sure he ends up shooting the baby. I don't know why we're laughing at that. It's just so over the top evil.
It's pretty like cartoonishly evil, you know? It's very Mark Miller. It's very Mark Miller. Just going off the rails.
Yeah. But I don't think we would see that in the movies.
Scar a lot of children.
Plus, I think we should also account for the fact that when Captain America went back to return the stone, he lived his life in that alternate timeline. So, unless to the MCU main timeline is if that kid had a way to traverse the multiverse.
That's true. But, you know, these movies being what they are, like, it's not an impossibility.
What if Captain America's kid from the alternate timeline with Peggy turns out to be Chris Evans?
Oh man, that is like some fanboy that's like some fanboy stuff right there, you know? To the highest degree, dude.
It kind of reminds me of those shows where you always have this character, the same actor will play the father, and then later on,
whenever we do time travel on any TV show, and just due to budgetary constraints, they go back and they meet their ancestors, and their ancestors look exactly like their parent, they look exactly like the characters that exist already. And again, this is a budget thing, right? But it's like, how does any of that make sense? Why would your great 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 grandmother and grandfather look exactly like your mother and father now? Because that would imply that like one of them, okay. You know, it'd be like, okay, I get that. If both of them looked like your dad or both of them looked like your mom, that makes sense. But there's no way that both of them would look exactly like both your parents.
So I guess we can start with Falcon and Bucky.
Okay, I'm gonna even go a little bit further back from the last time we saw Falcon and Bucky, or the Winter Soldier. But I'm gonna go, because the last time we actually see Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because they're the main characters of the show, so we should start off where they were at the end of Endgame. And at the end of Endgame, what we saw was that Captain America had gone back in time to an alternate timeline so that he could live out the life that so he goes back in time, lives the life that he wanted to live with Peggy Carter, the woman he loves, and he returns back to our time at some point, and he's an old man now. So at this point, Steve Rogers / Chris Evans / Captain America, Steve Rogers / Chris Evans / Captain America has lived a long, full life, and he's decided that he's not going to be Captain America anymore. And at the end of Endgame, after all the trials and tribulations with Thanos, he decides, I'm going to give the shield to Falcon, Sam Wilson, because I have faith in him. After everything we've been through, after everything I've seen about him, I have faith that he's going he's going to be the perfect thing I've seen about him. I have faith that he's going to be the perfect person to carry on the legacy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives his shield to Sam Wilson, Falcon, and that's where we see Falcon at the end of Endgame. But you might have to jog my memory on this one, but I don't really remember what happened to Bucky at the end of Endgame, other than it just felt like him and Sam had developed a relationship like a buddy, like Civil War.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, because Bucky was Steve Rogers' close friend in during World War II, it felt like there was close connective tissue there between those. Again, Steve Rogers gave the title and the shield of Captain America to the Falcon, and on some level, Winter Soldier, although he's not carrying on the direct legacy of Captain America, of the shield, he's carrying on the legacy of the work of Captain America along with Sam Wilson. I think that's the only way that I could explain that.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I want to go back to what you mentioned briefly about the relationship between Sam and Bucky. You mentioned briefly about the relationship between Sam and Bucky in Civil War, because frenemies is probably the right way to put it. They started working together and fought on the same side in Civil War. And
I don't think they were on
Civil War.
And I don't think they were on the same side, were they?
Falcon and Bucky? They were on the same side, dude.
Oh,
they were
okay,
on Captain America's side.
You're right. They were. My bad.
Yeah, there was even that scene, man, when Sharon Carter was returning their equipment after they'd gotten arrested.
Yeah.
And Cap and Sharon shared a moment together.
Yeah.
Bucky and Sam were in the car. Do you remember that scene?
Right. I forgot because the one scene that jumps out to me the most, and I don't want to drive us too far off on a tangent, but is the Falcon fighting with Spider-Man or against Spider-Man in the airport.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man incapacitates the both of them.
Yeah.
The scene is just both as Falcon and Winter Soldier laying on the ground, and Falcon just goes, "I hate you," or something.
Yeah.
It's jokingly, but So in my mind, I was like, "Wait, do they hate each other?" So yeah. Anyways, that was.
You took it seriously?
No. I didn't think it was serious, but I just remembered hearing that line. So on some level, I was like, "Wait, weren't they fighting against each other at that point?" But it wasn't. That wasn't the case. So that I could remember what the exact circumstances were.
There you go, man. Your neural pathways are still going strong. You've been able to access.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I mean, I've done just decades of meth, and so whenever I'm capable of remembering anything, like where my car keys are, I'm just, that's a win for me.
Yeah, but you know what counteracts the side effects of meth?
What's that?
Reading a lot of comic books. They sharpen your mind. Reading a lot of comic books. They sharpen your mind.
I want to believe that. I really do.
So getting back to where Bucky was at the end of Endgame. We saw him at the scene right before Steve Rogers steps onto the time machine. And before he gets on the machine, he and Bucky actually share a private word together. And we aren't really privy to that conversation. We just know that they have a moment. And then Cap gets on the machine, and then, next thing we know, old man Cap is sitting on the bench over there, and Bucky sees him first, and he tells Sam to go over there. That Bucky knows what's about to go down, and he respects it, you know. So he wants Sam to have that moment with Steve Rogers, and that's pretty much where we left him. The
Mm.
other thing that I thought was interesting was, and I think it comes through when he gets the shield. He doesn't get hyped up about receiving it. You know, it doesn't really feel like, oh yay, I get to be Captain America. You know, it's more like, dang, I've got to. How am I ever gonna live up to this? You know, it's like
Yeah,
in a way,
it's
it's more
heavy.
of a burden than it is a promotion.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's totally. You get that sense, and I'm glad that they went in that direction because you want the guy to be who's gonna be the next Captain America to be a humble dude, and the next Captain America to be a humble dude, and I don't want someone who's gonna get it and who's gonna start doing like flares and backflips just at
Hmm.
how excited they are that they get to be Captain America. You know,
Hmm.
like as much as I love Gronk, I don't I,
Hmm.
like as much as I love Gronk, I don't I, I don't I don't think that he's gonna necessarily have the emotional bandwidth to or the dignity to be Captain America.
Dude,
Although
that
I
would
will
have been
say,
hilarious.
although I will say he does kind
Dude,
although
that
I
would
will
have been
say
hilarious.
although I will say he does kind of pull off the look of Captain America. Like I could see him being a Captain America.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
know who else I would always thought had the perfect look to be Captain America is J.J. Watt.
That's
You
a
know
good
what?
one.
You know who?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they recently got rid of him and he's on the Cardinals now.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oof.
the Texans are in disarray, which is a shame for them. But yeah, J.J. Watt,
Yeah.
Justin James Watt, that dude basically has a perfect body, and he looks like this, just a slab of meat.
Dude. He's a big
Yeah,
dude with a
exactly.
thick neck.
Actually, when you put it that way, I don't know if I ever pictured Captain America with a super thick neck like that, but
Uh,
J.J. Watt definitely has a nice body. He could be a superhero.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, child, that would just be the summation of all of their peak physical traits.
If that ever happened, there's probably a good chance that child would end up like Ultimate Red Skull.
Yeah, yeah, which we mentioned earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
Um, Another part of the backstory or that I feel like is worth mentioning is that the trailer has shown that Baron Zemo is going to be in the is going to play a role as probably the one of the primary antagonists
Hmm.
of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And for those of you who might not remember, and for those of you who might not remember, the last time we see him is at the end of Civil War, and he's essentially a a I don't want to say civilian because he's not really a civilian. What he was someone
He
who
he
was
was in the Sokovian military.
yeah, exactly. So he's someone who had skills and a military background, but what happened was that in basically the ended up causing casualties in his family
Yeah, this was
to the point
basically
where
the Age of
all of
Ultron movie.
huh
The Age of Ultron
yeah
movie. That's when it all happened off panel. Like you don't see Baron Zemo in Age of Ultron, but that's where his backstory is. So during the Avengers are responsible for that and spends Civil War orchestrating the series of events that end with the Avengers completely fracturing. And the
yeah
last time we see him in Civil War, it ends with he's about to kill himself. Succeeded in his mission. He has caused Captain America and Iron Man to fight each other, and he's broken up the Avengers. But Black Panther finds Baron Zemo in the snow, prevents him from killing himself, and arrests him, or
Yeah.
gets him arrested. And arrests him, or
Yeah.
gets him arrested. So at the end of Civil War, we see him in the same little prison container thing
Yeah.
that Bucky had been arrested and stored in when
Yeah.
he was arrested earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
So Helmut Zemo, he was arrested earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
So Helmut Zemo has just been in prison
This whole
since
time?
the end of Civil War, and I'm not sure if there were any hints or anything that pointed to what happened to him, like during at the end of Infinity War. I don't know if he was one of the people that at the end of Infinity War. I don't know if he was one of the people that got blinked out of existence or killed when Thanos snapped the gauntlet,
Yeah.
or if he had just, been aging slowly in prison all this time. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it'll be interesting to see how they address that story element for sure.
Do you think he got free from prison because he got snapped when Thanos killed everybody, and then when Hulk brought everybody back, the prison had been demolished in like this place that used to be a prison? So he got free that way?
I feel like, I mean, I don't think that would be necessarily a silly explanation for it.
Well,
Or,
the way I
like,
phrased it, I tried to make it sound as silly as possible.
right. Well, of explaining to say, for if they're gonna try to make the story for Falcon and Winter Soldier as streamlined as possible, it'll take a lot of explaining to, try to discuss what happens with the snap and have him disappear and reappear and try to explain what he's been doing since then. I feel like the most streamlined thing that they can do is have him be in prison this whole time, and
Someone busts him out.
be in prison this whole time, and
Someone busts him out.
someone busts him out. Exactly.
The Flag
So,
Smashers bust him out.
yeah, exactly. Which it feels like that's the direction they might be leaning towards, but I
Yeah.
could be wrong. They might be leaning towards, but I
Yeah.
could be wrong.
What if Batroc Zeliper breaks him out? Like Batroc infiltrates the prison and just kicks everything hella hard, and that sets Helmut Zemo free.
I'd be okay with that because I'd be okay with that because the MCU version. Well, I'm a fan of. Well, not a fan, but I like Batroc the Leaper anyways. But
Mhm.
and on top of that, I'd even say that the film version of Batroc was isn't he in? Yeah, that's GSP, right?
Yeah.
So that version of Batroc was pretty. He was pretty badass. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, he should just kick everything.
Yeah, I mean that's his thing. He's a kicker. Yeah.
They bring Zemo back into the fold. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you about to say?
No. Well, I was gonna say, speaking of flag smashers, we discussed what they were a little bit earlier, but one of the things that I've learned since that the way that I know of the flag smasher is that it's a singular character, but apparently in this version of this version of the flag smasher in the MCU. Actually, is it still the MCU now that it's all on streaming? Now that these are all streaming shows, that
I
that
think it
counts,
still
right?
counts as the MCU. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if television is equivalent to cinema,
Yeah.
but I'm not necessarily gonna be a stickler for. No, I'm not necessarily gonna be a stickler for labels like that. I don't have to be pedantic about it. I
Okay.
understand that they take place in the same continuity, so for convenience's sake, it's simpler to call it the MCU.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Um,
The MCU.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So the MCU's version of Flag Smasher isn't going to be a singular character which is good because Flag Smasher sucks, but but it's basically going to be a hate organization. But it's basically going to be a hate organization.
Yeah.
I
Some
hate,
kind of
hate, hate
some kind of
organization.
anti-patriotism group.
Yeah, yeah. Um, which is an interesting choice. It's an interesting direction. Which is an interesting choice. It's an interesting direction to go with for the Flag Smashers.
It probably makes more sense than what the comic book version of Flag Smasher is, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd have to agree with that.
having one guy who he kind of just having one guy who he kind of just dresses up as like a low rent poor man's version of Count Nefaria, and he runs around in a cape, talking about how bad countries are. If you go to his Wikipedia page, if you go to his Wikipedia page, Flag Smasher's Wikipedia entry, it's a picture. The picture they use of him is a panel of him saying, "What? I'm not a communist. Weren't you people listening? I hate what the Soviet Union stands for as much as I hate what America stands for."
Something about finding out that the Flag Smashers is going to be as this militant hate organization. There was something about that struck something in my memory, and it was that it made me think of. It resonated with this memory I have of this image in the Ta-Nehisi Coates Captain America, and in that Captain America, what we see is in the aftermath of everything that's happened, Captain America is dealing with a country that is distrusting nuke that are essentially just mass produced, and they are, for whatever reason, they're acting out as a hate organization, as a stand-in for a hate organization, and I forget. Do you remember what their like slogan was?
Top of my head, I need to grab my copy of it, but I don't
Yeah,
have it at hand.
no worries, no worries. But it it had all their presence in the comic had all the earmarks of a hate organization. In that they were super jingoistic, they were super jingoistic, super about slogans and chanting, and yeah, there was something about that idea that just resonated with the idea of the Flag Smashers as a concept. Resonated with the idea of the Flag Smashers as a concept, if they intend to do it that way. So um
No,
I think their slogan was something like for the love of God and country or something like that, wasn't it?
I really can't remember.
Okay, okay. What were we gonna say? Okay, okay. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say that it would be a pretty interesting twist if they did make the Flag Smasher organization in the TV show something that was more along the lines of a hate group,
Yeah.
because the comic book that didn't want countries, he hated the idea of countries, um, and he was an anti-nationalist.
Mm.
So it would be an interesting twist if they somehow found a way to make the Flag Smasher concept one where they were nationalists.
Yeah. I like the only way that I could make that connection or make that justification is that if they just take the name of Flag Smasher and they make it about, point of the organization. Their entire point of being, their entire point of existing is to destroy, what America represents.
Yeah.
To smash the flag in that sense, and again move away from the idea of just sense, and again move away from the idea of just an anarchy, just move away from the idea of just anarchy and no government at all, but more towards the idea of just taking the name of Flag Smasher and being about destroying, just taking the name of Flag Smasher and being about destroying, smashing the flag of America, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That
As it stands, that would.
smashing the flag of America probably makes more sense to me. I can. It feels like that. I can. It feels like that would probably be what the show is about, unless somehow there's a reason that the Flag Smashers are targeting America. I mean, I'm assuming that it takes place in America.
Yeah.
For all we know, it could be but it would be interesting if the Flag Smashers in the show did actually want to bring down other countries. I guess they could do that, right?
Well, I just thought of it, or I just had another thought, which was, I mean, so see for Baron Zemo is how, because of superheroes and their activity, what ends up happening is that the little guy ends up suffering the consequences of their actions, right?
Yeah.
And the way that one of the in Wanda and Quicksilver's origin is that they were in these Eastern European countries, and their family, they suffered at the hands of a Stark munition, supposedly sent by, whatever country in power, or I don't know how else to describe it, but an elite, right?
Yeah.
So there's a way that they could present the Flag Smashers and Baron Zemo, present the Flag Smashers and Baron Zemo's cause as as the countries that have been in power for all these years have continued to rob their citizens of wealth and prosperity and their well-being, and all that we ever get, all that the peasants ever get is death and devastation, death and devastation at their hands. And maybe it's time for us to do away with countries, to do away with the power elite countries, all the countries that profess to be the right, all these supposed first world countries. So in that way, Flag Smasher as a concept might still be true to what the comic book version of Flag Smasher was about.
That's a good point. So you think it's pretty likely then to be aligned with Baron Zemo?
I think so, and I think there's a good chance that all of the people that make up their ranks are going to be people who, they're basically going to be like terrorists, just people who have some sort of grudge against countries that fight their wars, America. But it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't limited to America, if it included first world countries, or up and coming countries, like Britain or Germany or Canada or whatever, where they just feel like, again, we're just trying to live our lives, but you guys have your wars, and we're the ones who suffer the consequences of it. So
yeah,
why wouldn't we want to do away with the whole system, right? Why wouldn't we want to do away with the whole system, right? Which, like, I don't mean to try to make everything political
Well, I mean,
or
their name is Flag Smashers, so
okay.
you can't really avoid it, the
Okay.
political
Okay.
elements.
Okay. Well, okay, then
I
I'm
don't the
okay.
political
Okay.
elements.
Okay. Well, okay, then
I
I'm
don't
gonna
really see
go
a way
there.
that it can be avoided.
Then I'll go there. But, you know, for everything that we've seen in the past like 4 or 5 years, for all of the talk that we've had, um, it's hard not to have those elements seep uh, into our
Consciousness.
culture, into our consciousness, exactly. So it it wouldn't surprise me if they find a way uh chaos and anarchy into a modern version of what the Flag Smashers are, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I
Yeah,
hadn't considered that until you brought it up, but it's
yeah,
something that I'm gonna have to think about and uh, yeah, we'll
yeah. Like even okay, so and again, I'm not making a political statement per se. This is more just an observation. So I could be completely off, but even when you take the idea of guys were storming the Capitol, like
hmm
even a concept like that fits in with the underlying vibe or uh yeah, the underlying vibe of something that would create something like the Flag Smasher, right? These
Yeah.
people who are just angry for, and I'm sure they have whatever reasons. I'm not gonna. I probably no. I in all likelihood don't agree with whatever their reasons. Probably no. I in all likelihood don't agree with whatever their reasons for their anger are.
I would hope not.
Yeah, but uh, imagine just being so mad at your country that at these perceived elites to the point where at these perceived elites to the point where you just want to do away with it altogether, not considering at all like how much you benefit from the established system, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the alternative is literally just chaos.
Do
you
they
know
really think do the flag smashers actually believe that getting rid of the concept of America will make the world a better place? Will it make their lives better?
yeah,
Right?
I mean,
Especially if they're well, again, I guess I suppose we're gonna be Americans, but for all I know, it could be a coalition of individuals from like all over the world that just want to bring
hate.
down, yeah, that are just united in their hate for America. So I guess it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be Americans, but it could just be a bunch of people that hate America.
yeah. And I stick to my presumption that it might not even be there's a chance they might not strictly limit it to America again because it's just about whatever perceived authority, right?
hmm
So it's like you were saying, Drew, like do you really think your life their lives would be better without these institutions? But if I was gonna take the flip side of that argument, I one could argue the flip side of that argument. I one could argue like how bad are their lives that becomes a solution. I can honestly say my life isn't that bad, so maybe it's hard for me to imagine that. But and again,
Yeah,
this isn't me necessarily imagine that, but and again,
yeah,
this isn't me necessarily advocating for that
yeah,
because you'd have to be pretty messed up in order to look at your life and to go, my life is so bad that the only solution is to burn it all to the ground because that's gonna make it better for me somehow.
Yeah, like wild anarchy in the streets is gonna be a proper solution. It's like saying, or it's like imagining something like those, like I'm sure there are people out there who actually think that would be cool, but yeah, logically,
Yeah.
it's hard to perceive why anyone in his right mind would actually
Right, right.
want something like that.
And quite frank box, but I think anyone who looks at their life and like feels that way, not anyone, but I do think that there are a good number of people who would look at who the good number of people who would look at their lives and feel that way. I have a feel of like self-awareness, and there's a lack of like it's a pretty selfish attitude to take, you know?
Yeah, it's something that I think people who are self-entitled would feel, you know? Like it's just
Yeah.
that sense where people go around thinking that they deserve something better than what they actually have when we really don't deserve anything and we ought to be grateful for what we do have.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm ready to hate the flag smashers.
they've kind of they're kind of our fictional ideal fictional characters to hate on as the viewer, aren't they? They're like kind of ideally suited for this point in time in our culture.
There exactly. That's the best way to put it. But I will that's the best way to put it. But I will say this to your earlier statement about how they're the ideal character to hate at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it remind it reminds me of this and this again this isn't something that necessarily speaks for everyone, but when I remember after the January 6th thing happened and all those people rushed the Capitol,
Yeah.
and shortly after that there was a coup. True.
Yeah.
So there was this coup in Myanmar, and again, I like this might just be purely anecdotal, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless. And what ended up happening was some of the news stations, some of the news station, a military coup in Myanmar was a bad thing, but then they ended up walking those statements back because a lot of their viewers were actually in support of the idea of a military coup in Myanmar, and they kind of wished that a military coup would happen here.
Okay, that I didn't hear about.
That when you say that, oh, these are kind of the perfect people to hate, there's a chance that there are some people who would look at those guys and they'd cheer for them.
That is true too. That would
Yeah,
be a little bit troubling, but I can easily picture it
yeah,
but I can easily picture it
yeah.
based on the world we live in today.
At this point in history, I find that there's a lot that I find troubling.
Yeah, I mean, as time goes on, as time continues to progress, I find humanity more and more as time continues to progress, I find humanity more and more disappointing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like humanity as a concept, but when you
Yeah.
start introducing me to people, I just hate them all.
I like
Me to people, I just hate them all.
I like humanity as long as it's something that I can't figure out, as long as it's a Rubik's cube.
If it's an abstract, intangible notion, then yeah, I'm all for it.
I just
But in
imagine me going
practice,
like me, but like billions of, okay, I can get on board with that.
so going back to Baron Zemo, you were thinking that he would most likely be aligned with.
Because his backstory has already been established as him being someone who is a victim of these powers that are greater than him. So he's essentially a little guy striking back at that he's been wronged because he feels that his family, in order to stop the the dropping. Okay, so when Ultron tried to drop a city from the atmosphere, second extinction event, the Avengers, of course, had to do what they could to stop that, and they ended up dropping the island from a substantially lower altitude, but it was, you're still dropping essentially what's a you know you're still dropping essentially what's a mass the size of a city in
Yeah.
this area. So it's not like there's gonna be no casualties, and the idea that there would be no casualties, personally, it's hard to believe. So it's hard to believe. So
Yeah.
so even though you could make the logical argument to someone like Baron Zemo that they tried their best to save everybody, and it's unfortunate that your family died, and we wish that it didn't. And it's unfortunate that your family died, and we wish that it didn't happen. But you know, in a worst case scenario, the whole world would have been killed. And but the thing about Baron Zemo is there is such a hole in empty vacuum that even that logic doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care
Well,
because what were we gonna say?
let me approach his logic from the way you described it. So, does the world Tron was created by the Avengers? Do they know that Tony Stark and Bruce Banner created Ultron?
That's true. I didn't he reveal that at the end of Civil War? Like wasn't part of the Civil War story arc was that basically revealed all these different things about the Avengers?
Yeah, but I don't remember if that was part of the data dump or not. I can't recall.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty devastating. I feel like the world knows knows already that Ultron was built by them because if he still has that in his arsenal, that would be pretty devastating to the Avengers now
Yeah.
in
I
the
mean,
eyes of the world.
he would be besmirching the name of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Be besmirching the name of Tony Stark,
Yeah.
the most beloved hero in their universe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you're right. The world probably does know,
Yeah.
but I guess it's not. Yeah, I can't remember if. It's not, yeah, I can't remember if Civil War mentioned it or not.
Yeah. I
Somebody who's really well versed in the MCU hopefully will come and tell us the answer to that question.
yeah. Yeah. We'll give you a
Here's another character that we haven't seen since Civil War, but Sharon Carter, Agent 13.
Mhm.
So the last time we saw her was in Civil War, and pretty much at that point, her superior's orders, she was working for, I believe it was the CIA,
Mhm.
right? It was the CIA. So I'm pretty sure if her superiors found out about it, she probably got fired from her job.
Yeah.
So
That would make sense. Either
yeah,
that or they just demoted her. Yeah, she's like, I used to fight terrorists.
yeah. She's like, I fought alongside Captain America, and now I'm just making sandwiches in the
Yeah,
cafeteria.
exactly. Here's a casserole.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
quite the fall from grace.
the other thing, I believe, directly did die when Thanos snapped the gauntlet.
Wait, she died, or
When
was?
Thanos snapped the gauntlet, I mean, she's back with everybody else now.
Okay, okay, okay.
When Hulk brought everybody back, I guess she was fortunate to not be in an airplane when she got brought back. When she got brought back, you know, she wasn't,
Right,
or I mean, she
right.
wasn't in an airplane when she got snapped to death, so she didn't appear 3,000 miles in the sky and fall to her death.
Yeah, that's good to know, cause she's she's not like a no, cause she's she's not like a huge character in the Marvel universe, but she ain't, no, she ain't nobody. Like she's got a footprint in the Marvel universe for sure.
Yeah,
You
if you
know?
read Captain America comics, she's a major player.
Yeah, yeah. So
Comics, she's a major player.
yeah, yeah. So I'm glad that they didn't kill her off panel, off screen.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what she's been up to since the end of Civil War and the couple years in between Civil War and Infinity War. Because according to the show, it just says that Sharon Carter has been on the run since she was last seen in Civil War.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what Wikipedia says. Keep in mind that anybody can update Wikipedia. So for all we know, just some fan could have written that. Who knows?
That's way when you say that she's been on the run since the end of Civil War. I honestly don't remember if that was the case. Like I'm
Yeah, I
trying
don't
to
think.
think back to the last time that I saw her, and uh, I, yeah,
I think the last
I don't
time we
remember
actually
anything
see her.
indicating that she was on the run.
Yeah, I think the last time we Bucky all their stuff back.
Yeah,
She
that'd
she basically
be
grabs it from the evidence locker and gives it to them.
yeah, that'd be quite a leap. Well, I mean, I guess it's not that huge of a leap in logic to assume that she's been on the run, but I don't know.
Maybe they didn't only fire her, but they wanted to arrest her for abetting a criminal, since at that point in time Cap was technically a criminal. And maybe she didn't want to be arrested, so she ran away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be good to catch up with her and just to see like well, it'll be good to catch up with her and just to see like what the gaps were or what she's been doing in that time since the last time we saw her.
Yeah, she's a good character, man.
Yeah.
And I
Um
always liked that actress too, Emily Van Camp. She was in this show I used to watch. And I
um
always liked that actress too, Emily Van Camp. She was in this show I used to watch when I was a kid. Well, I guess I wasn't even a kid, but back when I was a young man, and I watched more TV. She was in that show Everwood.
yeah.
You remember that drama?
I just remember that
Remember that drama?
I just remember that I think Greg Berlanti worked on it. Was it Greg Berlanti?
Yeah, the guy that does
Yeah.
all those DC Arrowverse shows now, right? That's him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
that's
remember
probably
even.
the main thing that I know about it.
Yeah, even when he did Everwood, there were a lot. Main character was a Green Lantern fan. I remember that.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Chris Pratt was in that show too.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that once, which it'd be I'm interested to see what a young Chris Pratt did on that show, when he was just making his mark in Hollywood or whatever.
Too, but it'd be funny if Sharon Carter got to meet Star Lord.
Yeah.
You can have
Well,
the brother and sister meet again.
I feel like whenever there's a lot of these where the actors in these roles end up doing things in other films.
Yeah,
So
like
and what's it called Wanda and Quicksilver from Age of Ultron. They
yeah.
were in the first Godzilla movie, but they were husband and wife in that.
Oh no way, dude, for real?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty funny.
Elizabeth Olsen and I forget the dude's
Aaron something,
but
Aaron something or other, right?
yeah. I'll,
Was that
again,
Godzilla movie? Did that predate Age of Ultron?
I think it came out a little after Age of Ultron.
Oh, that is funny, dude.
Yeah, but they were husband and wife in that, which
That just
is
reminds me of
they were husband and wife in that, which
that just
is
reminds me of the Ultimates when Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver kind of had an incestuous relationship.
yeah. I read something recently that um well, no, it was a YouTube video that I watched recently where they well, no, it was a YouTube video that I watched recently where they talked about uh Elizabeth Olsen in an interview where she referenced something about the Ultimates and the nature of their relationship. Like, and she wasn't doing it in a jokey way, but it does feel like it was one of those instances where she was trying to reference it, and maybe the conversation went in a pretty awkward direction for a brief moment, just because that's just the nature of these
Of those comics.
it's hard not to bring up the fact that in the comics they had a potentially incestuous relationship without making it uncomfortable and weird.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not something you can just say uh casually.
I suppose not.
Uh, anyways,
Do you have any other comments about the plot or the potential plot that we'll be seeing in the show?
um, well, I guess the one of it, the first trailer or the first few early trailers felt like they played it very straight, and it felt like it was a political thriller or a political action thriller sort of
Yeah, it looked like it could have been
show.
something along the lines of the Winter Soldier movie. Yeah, it looked like it could have been
Show.
something along the lines of the Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah. Or what are those books? Those books that were popular for a while, like Some of All Fears. Who's the guy that wrote all those?
Are you thinking of like?
Clancy.
Oh yeah,
Tom
yeah,
Clancy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of like?
Clancy.
Oh yeah,
Tom
yeah,
Clancy.
yeah,
Yeah.
like those kind of thrillers.
Yeah. It felt like the tone of it was something along the lines of a Tom Clancy novel or film.
Hmm.
But the trailer that we get later on is it's more lighthearted, and it feels more like a buddy comedy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the final product looks like. That that's my uh that's my final thought on that.
What kind of thematic content do you think the show will touch? I mean, we talked a little bit about it when we were discussing the Flag Smashers,
Yeah.
but I also feel like one of the other big things is that I mean, a black man is going to be Captain America potentially, right?
Yeah.
Like that's probably one of the things that I feel like they're wielding the shield,
Yeah.
and uh, I mean, even from an audience standpoint, I could already imagine a lot of people not liking the idea of Sam Wilson being Captain America. I
Mm.
mean, when they did that in the comics, there was a backlash. I don't know if all of the backlash was due to the Falcon being a black man, but I'm pretty sure like most of the backlash was because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the comics were bad or anything.
Yeah. So speaking I mean, piggybacking on the things that you mentioned, I if I had to guess, I want to say that the underlying theme of the show, if I had to guess, would center around the idea of what America means, right?
Yeah.
So so you would have this iconic character like Captain America. The you would have the character of the you would have the character of Captain America being assumed by someone that traditionally doesn't look like what the idea of Captain America is. But at the same time, like the idea of America is that anybody can be that iconic symbol, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what the American dream is about. But what happens when you get pushback from that? What happens when competing narratives when there are competing narratives that not only don't want to see that, but are actively making the case that not only that they deserve to have. Additionally, there are people who don't deserve to have that to have
Mm-hmm.
that right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
So
get what you're saying.
it'll be, yeah, like in short, I feel like part of probably going to be something along the lines of what does America look like? What does the American idealism look like? Uh, and who's gonna win that battle essentially?
Yeah, it's interesting too because that is a theme that is very relevant to our time right now. It's very in
Yeah,
the moment, and I wonder if it's intentional or if it's just,
a
because of
coincidence.
happenstance,
Yeah,
coincidence, but that
a
because of
coincidence.
happenstance,
Yeah,
coincidence, but that is definitely a timely angle,
yeah,
like more than uh you know now more so than recent times. It's like, yeah, and I could also see it's like, yeah, and I could also see like U.S. agent being played up as kind of a counterpoint to the Falcon,
yeah. He's gonna be the
because
traditional looking Captain America.
yeah, exactly, he's gonna be the white dude who's just got it all going for him, and probably, if he's anything like the incarnation of U.S. Agent in the comics, I'm guessing John Walker is gonna be that dude who's just, self-entitled, probably a little deserves to be Captain America because he represents everything that there really is important about America.
Mm, mm.
And it's kind of like you said, right? Um, it's not just that he thinks he deserves it, but I'm sure he deserve it.
Exactly, exactly. It's not enough that
It's not enough
he
that
gets it.
Captain America, Steve Rogers himself, personally gave the shield to Sam.
Yeah,
I can imagine John Walker just being like, that's not how it's supposed to be,
yeah, yeah,
and just way overconfident about himself.
yeah. It's but now that you've mentioned it, and when you mentioned U.S. agent, I didn't make that connection until you just said it just now. So that's a connection until you just said it just now. So that's a pretty cool observation to make, and I I do hope they go that route, because that would make for some interesting storytelling, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting storytelling and really current. Yeah, interesting storytelling and really current and relevant social commentary.
yeah, but I'm also interested how they're going to work that into the
Yeah,
flag smashers.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good.
I because there's a chance that that could be a B plot that happens, but if there's a way that they can weave those two narratives together in a seamless fashion too.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's potentially a lot going on in this series.
Yeah.
Do you know how many episodes they said it was supposed to be?
Oh, I have no idea. I was under the presumption that it was 9, just like WandaVision.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. It says it's going to be 6 episodes. Again, Wikipedia, the running time for each episode is going to range from 45 to 55 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's longer than, well, I feel like a big chunk of the WandaVision episodes were
Credits.
credits. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah. So I don't know if it's gonna be tough to see.
hmm Do you think that Bucky, being a guy who's essentially over 100 years old, do you think it's unrealistic that in the movies he basically acts like he's comfortable with modern society? Did you expect
Oh,
Bucky to be more in tune with a 1930s, 1940s sensibility?
uh, I don't know. Part of me wants to say that an explanation for that could be that they've just messed up his brain so much with their cadet. They've just messed up his brain so much with their conditioning that he might just be completely numb to everything. He could be a stone cold sociopath.
For all we know,
Exactly.
he just acts friendly to disarm
Yeah,
us. For all we know,
exactly.
he just acts friendly to disarm
Yeah.
us.
I mean, that is one of the things about sociopaths is that they're able to like project
hmm
uh
They
this
can
like
trick people.
comforting persona,
Yeah,
like
trick people.
comforting persona.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point.
I guess the stance we're taking is that Bucky is a serial killer. I did not see that as the direction that this conversation was gonna go, but
Guy who killed Baron Zemo's family. No, he didn't.
okay, I
I
was like, I was
I was just making
sincerely
stuff up
thinking
at
about
that
that.
point.
Uh, okay.
Do you have any predictions for the show?
I hope not. Have there been? Have you seen anything like that online? Any theories that people have put up?
Not really, but that's mainly because I've stayed away from any forums where people engage in that kind of speculation. I'm really interested in is ours.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think ours are great, and I wouldn't trust those people to park my car. So, um, yeah. In terms of our predictions, I think we addressed some of those earlier on in terms of what we think the flag smashers are going to be,
uh-huh.
and how Baron Zemo's role is going to play out,
Yeah,
and Zemo's role is going to play out,
yeah.
and
And John Walker.
yeah, and your ideas on U.S. Agent. So no, I'm pretty content with what what's the content with what with the predictions that we have had, because those are like some meaty predictions right there, you know.
Yeah.
They ain't no this is how mutants are gonna show up. This is they it ain't nothing like that, man. Ain't nothing like that, man. This is legit introspective stuff, you
At
know.
the end of the series, man, Helmut Zemo is gonna say more mutants, and that's how the X-Men enter the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You heard it here, boys and girls. This Cap Falcon and Captain America. I'm not gonna bet anything.
It was Magneto all along.
Exactly.
So, are you confident that by the end of the series, Sam Wilson will take up the mantle of Captain America?
I don't know. Do you think he exists currently in this weird state where he's still the Falcon, but he just happens to have the shield, and so he's not officially called Captain America?
I don't know if you noticed the scene in one of the trailers, but there was a scene where you see the Falcon looking. Remember that one?
I might have missed that detail.
Yeah, but I know there have also been scenes where he's practicing with the shield in a forest or something, right? And
Yeah.
uh, I don't know which of those scenes takes place first in a linear or chronological sense. Takes place first in a linear or chronological sense. So
Well,
I'm
these trailers
wondering.
tend to be pretty tricky.
Yeah, the trailers are obviously trying to trick us. They don't want to spoil stuff for us. They
Yeah,
just want
yeah,
to
yeah.
get people hyped up.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there there is a chance that perhaps Sam uh, there is a chance that perhaps Sam at the beginning of the show maybe he has given the shield to the government for safekeeping in some museum or something. I don't know. Or maybe that wasn't even really the real shield. Maybe it was just a replica.
Right.
Maybe he just actually
He
that
could
shield. Maybe it was just a replica.
right.
Maybe he just actually
He
that
could have been
probably
at that museum, that
yeah
Captain America museum that we
yeah
see
that's
sometimes.
true. Actually, now that I think about it, that probably makes more sense to me. It makes more sense
Yeah.
to me that Sam would keep the shield with himself.
Yeah.
He was probably just looking at a museum piece. I mean, Steve Rogers gave
You'd
that
be
to him.
kind of messed up to give that away,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you
yeah, I
know?
agree. Yeah, so he's got to keep the shield, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that maybe the government or U.S. agent demands the shield so he can be the new Captain America or to officially be Captain America.
Yeah.
And maybe Sam won't give it to him, or he has
Yeah.
second thoughts about it and questions why someone would, ask that of him. But
Yeah.
I think that could be a source of the conflict right there. End up being Captain America by the end of the series, or
Yeah.
if he doesn't officially call himself Captain America, we'll probably see him flying around with his falcon wings using the shield at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that feels like it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I, I will say that in terms of other predictions, one of the thoughts that I just had was I don't know if we, and this might be too much of a like specific prediction to have, but a like specific prediction to have, but I'm also kind of curious what the actual like goal of the Flag Smashers and Zemo is gonna be, right?
Mm.
Like it feels like it's just gonna be something along the lines of it feels like it's just gonna be something along the lines of terrorist bombings or some sort of explosion, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm curious to see what they actually intend to try to achieve,
yeah.
what
Like
they actually
what
intend
are
to
their
do, to try to achieve,
yeah,
what
like
they actually
what
intend
are
to
their
do.
political agendas? What are they trying to accomplish besides are they just trying to sow fear, or do they actually have demands or something?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like as they exist in my mind right now, I know is, or I don't even know for a fact, but there's a likelihood that they're gonna break out Baron Zemo and in terms of their ideology, we have like some rough guess as to what it is that they believe.
Yeah, that's a
You
big
know?
question.
Yeah.
Here's another uh, piece of speculation. But what if Zemo is not aligned with the Flag Smashers? What if instead it's the US government and they end up releasing him to serve their whims because he has some kind of knowledge or specialty that they think they can use him to stop the Flag Smashers? Like what if this is how the Thunderbolts starts?
That would be that would be a pretty bold and ballsy idea. Um I think I think if you're a comic fan, that'd be a really fun idea to see happen.
So it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
So it probably won't happen.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It feels like it's not antithetical to the tone that they've established, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just don't have. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just don't have that level of imagination where I can see that quite yet. Like
Yeah.
I can see that as something that eventually happens. Because, well, I mean, because I've read the comics, and to some degree he doesn't become a hero. Not really, anyways. But the
Right.
Thunderbolts is a big part of his backstory. So
Mm-hmm.
it's something that, if you're gonna do the Thunderbolts, the most that'd be interesting if they decide to do a complete 180 from what we expect, and do that. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I admit I'm pretty skeptical they would do that because it doesn't seem like the obvious thing where they did that. That could explain how Zemo gets free, because the government thinks that they've got this former military Sokovian military leader who has, I don't know, who just knows something, like who has some kind of knowledge or specialty that I don't know. I mean, that's to me that's probably a better way for him to escape than to show Thanos snapping him to death and then having him come back 5 years later scot free. I mean, I guess that would be a simple way to do it, but it wouldn't be my favorite. I mean, I guess that would be a simple way to do it, but it wouldn't be my favorite.
It wouldn't be
thing.
satisfying.
It wouldn't feel too satisfying.
Yeah. Oh man.
I think I'd rather have Batroc run into the prison and kick everybody.
Yeah, it's it would have been interesting if they had put together like that dark version of the Thunderbolts, using Batroc and Thunderbolts, using Batroc and he's not alive, but it would have been cool to see Crossbones. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out who else. Yeah, there's a bunch of street level Cap villains that I think you could make cool for the series. Like I'm 99% sure that the Flag Smasher in the show is more interesting to me. Is going to be more interesting.
Yeah.
That's just.
I think there's a good chance of that happening.
Yeah, I'm just being realistic. So.
All right. Well, any final thoughts or anything else that you want to say before we get out of here?
I think the show's coming out, the first episode's dropping Friday, I think, right?
Yep. Friday, March 19th.
Yeah, so watch the episodes, listen to our episode for sure.
Yeah, try to make a game of it. Try to see if you can tell which part of this episode was recorded on Friday, the Friday we recorded the WandaVision autopsy, and which part of the episode was recorded afterwards.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
All right, everybody. This is Between the Gutters, signing off. Peace out.
Bye, guys. Bye. Bye.
Well, I think I'm all tapped out of thoughts.
Yeah, we've explored this to its natural conclusion, and we're gonna have to watch the show when it comes out, and we'll see when that's done.
Not a bucktopsy.
Wint Wintupsy.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with us. Out. Later.
Bye, guys.